So what's up, everybody? Thank you guys for coming. This is Hip Hop in the Park, thrown on by the board of the Lynn Hip Hop Wall of Fame. We are the board for the Lynn Hip Hop Wall of Fame. I want to start out by introducing us, and then hopefully get to know a little bit about us. And if you guys have any questions at the end of our talk, we're going to take some Q&A questions, interact with you guys. So if you guys have any questions, save it for the end. Hopefully we can answer them for you guys. So I'm Edwin Cabrera. I am one of the board members for the Lynn Hip Hop Wall of Fame. I am also a co-founder of Grindhouse Recordings. Grindhouse has been doing a podcast for the past 2 years. We've been interviewing Lynn hip hop artists from around the Boston area, the New England area in general, and just kind of getting a sense of what the culture is like around here. And I feel like the next step in that evolution is to really kind of preserve the culture that we've started here in Lynn. Guys like Justice, Bobby, have been doing this for a long time, and it's time for us to start commemorating and also preserving, the legacy that you guys have started and we'll be creating and adding towards. So again, I'm Edwin, co-founder of Grindhouse Recordings, and also the co-chair for the Lynn Hip Hop Wall of Fame. I'm gonna pass it to my left to Don.
Hello, everybody. I'm Don Mistress. I'm a rapper from Lynn. I grew here. I was raised here, and I have been a product of this environment. And I'm also a co-founder of Eastside World. It's one of the biggest, I'll say one of the biggest, organizations in Lynn. And pass it to my left.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Bobby Bishop. I've been here in Lynn as far as the rap scene since roughly around '95, just ciphers over on Washington Street. I was fortunate enough to have some opportunities over the years to do some label deals and got to travel quite a bit, but Lynn was always home base, and there was always a balance of melding the youth of Lynn and kids I was mentoring with hip hop. I'm currently an adjustment counselor for Lynn Public Schools and a family therapist for Family and Children's Services, and on the board at the Haven Project. So yeah, it's good to be here.
Word, thank you. I just want to do a quick temperature check because I don't like talking to the people unless I know that you guys are there and I can feel some energy. When I say rec shop, y'all say movement. Rec shop? Movement. Rec shop? Movement. Okay, that's a little quick introduction. My name is Justice. I'm the founder of Rec Shop Movement. We organize hip hop events, showcases, freestyle tournaments, ciphers for days. Subway Cipher is probably one of the notable ones. I'm also the owner of Street Soul Global, which is a music licensing and publishing company, and I'm one of the board members for the Lynn Hip Hop Wall of Fame. Thank y'all for being here.
What up, everybody? My name is Jay Moon, CEO and co-founder of KMF Lynn. We provide plenty of great records. We do artist development. We have producers, engineers, throwing live shows. Pretty much just all around trying to keep Lynn moving forward from politics to music. So that's a little bit of who I am.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Michael Aguahoa. I'm a Lynn artist, born and raised here in Lynn. And my work is heavily rooted in the community. I've done work at shelters, worked at the Greg House, Kip Academy, and I have some murals on Stephanie's Restaurant, Zimmons Fabric Store, and Ernie's Harvest Time.
Dope. So I want to start out first with the reasoning. So when this whole Lynn Hip Hop Wall of Fame project started, it really started off of one social media post. I'm not sure if you guys know that. So somebody, very recognizable figure in our hip hop community, Al Divino, posted about, like last summer, he posted about how there is no mural. How he was asking a question like, how is there not a mural in Lynn for SDNAC? And it was almost like a question, but also almost like a, are you kidding me? How has this not happened yet? And as somebody who's a big hip hop head, I'm myself and not an artist at all. Like I'm more of a consumer. I consume the music. And so when he posed that question, I felt, as somebody as part of the community, I almost felt like, like I felt guilty about that too. Like obviously it's not up to just me to figure that out, but I definitely felt like on some level part of the problem for not doing more for, the artists in Lynn and supporting the arts in Lynn. And so in that same post that Al Divino posted on Facebook, I added Michael Aguahoa. I was like, because Michael's a super talented muralist. He's worked on, as he was saying, a bunch of really, really dope murals in downtown Lynn that you guys can check out right now. He just finished one right in Ernie's Harvest Time. That's beautiful. The Black Lives Matter mural is right there also. So it's really dope if you guys haven't walked over there and checked it out. But I added him on Facebook, and I'm like, yo, Michael, we should do something about this. And he was like, yeah, we should. And so that's really where the idea started. And from there, me and Michael kicked ideas about, well, Esty should be on it, but then what about other people? And then that's really when the idea of like, this could be for one person, or we can make this about the whole culture. And that's really where the idea started to form. And me being, as I said earlier, more of a consumer of the culture, not like, you know, being indirect, like not being an artist or being like what Justice does on the ground throwing events. I wanted there to be more than just our voices. That way we can get a much broader perspective. And so everybody on this board brings their own experiences, they bring their own perspective to the table, and they allow us to be much more of a full staff in terms of input, in terms of ideas, in terms of who we should reach out to and who should be remembered, recognized, etc. So I feel like we each bring something to the table. And my first question for you guys is, what made you want to join the board, and what do you feel like you bring to the table on the board? I'm going to pass it to you, Don, and then we can just go right down.
I felt like I wanted to be a part of the board because not only this is where I come from, this is where I learned from. I learned everything from being in this city. Everything. Anything you can name. I learned everything from being in this city. I also grew up around the hip hop and the fashion. So I felt like being a part of the board would also, you know, bring my perspective of being in the loop, as people would say, because I am in the loop. But I also have, you know, I have a different background when it comes to this city. You know, my family has a legacy in this city too. You know, my family is one of the biggest cities, biggest families in the city. You know, my family is the Johnsons and the Andersons. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just wanted to stand tall for the legacy at the end of the day. But I also come from, you know, family members as rappers. You know, Sonorel. You know, I preached that to the board. Like, you know, I felt like Sonorel should be a part of the wall because he is a part of the legacy in the city. Also, not just behind his family, but also a legacy in the city too. So, you know.
The reason I wanted to be on this was kind of a full circle, kind of closing a loop for me. I wanted to reconnect, and it was admittedly kind of selfishly an opportunity. I'm like, listen, I really want to get back into this home-based community. I haven't been plugged in too much the past few years because I kind of went the social worker route and focused on that. And I just love hip hop. I love hip hop culture, and I was really excited to see that there was a bridge being built between honoring your culture and serving your community. And I said that if that's what's going on, then I can't not ask to be a part of that. So I'm excited to be here.
Word. On that note, I want to echo pretty much what Bobby said about being a part of something that has to do not just with hip hop, but for the community, because I think a lot of us think, and the realization is that hip hop is perceived as one thing in the music industry, and the culture is perceived and understood a different way. So I'm happy to be a part of something that represents for the culture, and that's also able to tap into the earwaves of those who are familiar with hip hop from the music industry side of things, and we can introduce things to people through hip hop that will empower them with new information, that will empower them with opportunities. So being a part of something that's doing that was a no-brainer for me. So I'm happy to be a part of the board.
I was excited to come onto the board just because I have a love for music, but an even stronger passion for Lynn. So I always feel like it's necessary to preserve the culture with everything that's going on. So just thinking of Lynn hip hop, you know, SDNAC, and so many other heads like, you know, Sonorel, I think Simi, you know what I'm saying, even further, C. Wells. There's a lot of different people I could keep naming, but we'll get into that. But I just think everybody deserves to be recognized for what's been done. Yeah, that's why I joined the board, really.
Everything everyone's already said. You know, from a creative standpoint, being a painter, it's a little different from like the producer, hip hop artist, and you know, just like that type of part of the process. But you know, I just think being in the loop, as Don Mr. said, is a big part of it, and just having something like, I think the dialogue between all of us is great because it's going to help the outcome of the mural be even more impactful for the community. Just having all the input from different perspectives. Even though, of course, Edwin, seeing me as the perfect person to be the one to see the mural through, I think, is an honor in itself. So I'm just happy to be here and to be around so much creative energy. It's inspiring, and I think we have something big to offer the community creatively and from just a unity standpoint. Just seeing all these people come together that, we grew up in the same city, but not necessarily so tight-knit. I think it's cool for people outside to see people just coming together to create something that's larger than us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely. Round of applause for that, for sure. And so, obviously, I'd say there's been a pretty good amount of talk on this mural over the streets and on the interwebs. People have their opinions about, what this is, why we're doing it. I've heard things about there's no famous blah, 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 whoever, whatever. I've heard a lot. And so this next question is really about perspective. Like we've heard different people and what they've thought. What do you feel like, why is something like this important from your perspective? Like, what is a wall of fame like this, what does it do for a community? What can it do for, now? What can it do? And also, what can it do in the future? How do you envision this thing playing out?
I honestly think it's going to be good for the city. You know what I mean? Especially when you have, people that, they use the word legend real loosely. You know what I mean? Very loosely. But when you have people that, put blood, sweat, and tears into the city, and they grew up to, experience different things and to see somebody that they looked at as in like, yo, they was just on the same block as me. They was just in the same school as me, and they on a wall. That's different. That's different, not only for them, but for their kids too. You know what I mean? So I definitely feel like it would make a big difference, a big one.
It's for the culture, like you said, and it is something that needs to be preserved. And despite the fact, I think that, like you were saying, Edwin, it's been pointed out that there's no one name that's necessarily pervasively known, right? But that doesn't mean that it should be minimized, because we know.
Right.
And also, and I can only speak for myself here, but as far as my own convictions to leverage and use hip hop over the years to reach out to the community and to serve the community, whether it was doing the Convoy of Hope, behind Lynn Tech, or just, setting up as speakers on Chestnut Street in my driveway and doing concerts, whatever it was, there was always purpose attached to it for me, and to give back to the community with it. And the fact that people have benefited and hip hop was at the forefront of that, to me it's like, well, then it should be honored. That should be recognized. It's important. It's an important culture, and it should be recognized.
I think it's important because it's a reference point. Also, to echo what Don Mistress was saying, that's a place where not only the hip hop community or the greater community can come and see something that they recognize from the neighborhood, or maybe it's someone they don't know, they don't recognize the person, but now they're going to learn more about it because there's a platform like linhiphop.com. There's the social media platforms. So if somebody wants to learn about an artist, that's a good way to do it. But also to be able to have something where their kids, and maybe their kids, and however many generations in the future, for as long as the mural lives on, people will have that as a reference point. And in terms of history and creating the future, having reference points is super important. So that's why I think the wall is important.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely think that it'd be a good reference point for the next young kid in his bedroom making a song who wants to grow to be just like Jay Ness or Sonorel, or even see what they've done and try to take it even bigger than that and go to a major level. So I definitely agree with what Justice said. So I definitely think it's important to honor everybody regardless of fame or riches.
I think everyone can agree that it's whack to only show support for someone once they make it big. And I think it's special that us as a community are here to empower and big up each other right now at our stages. I think it says a lot that so many people let their creative passion die off because of like what mainstream media says. Go get a practical job, go do this, go do that. But it's powerful that so many people here are willing to like risk it all to make their dreams come true. And who else is gonna build us up other than us, right? So that's really all I have to say. You know, I think it's important for us to big each other up now and empower each other, and just inspire each other to keep going, because that's, you know, that's more fuel for the fire we already have within ourselves. So.
And just to add on to my own question there, I, especially the aspect that I thought could be an exciting aspect of it is the inspirational aspect that we were talking about, but also the competitive aspect of it. When you see, like, for example, I've been told by many people, like, you know, oh, you better have this person on the wall, or oh, you better have that person that represents this part, you know, be on the wall, et cetera. So I was like, no, it's perfect, because like if that person is not on the wall, or if that community, whether it be like this, you know, artist is like, this community is not represented, that gives somebody I want to be the first person to represent that community on that wall. So it's not just even about like inspiring, because it is, but it's also about the competitive, like, I want to be that person on that wall first. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I feel like this is, you know, because this wall of fame is not just a one-off annual, you know, 1 year kind of thing. I want the yearly thing gives that hope of like, if I'm not in here this year, maybe the community don't think I'm good. I think I'm good enough. Maybe the community don't think. I'll show them next year or the year after. So that push, that extra competitive edge, I feel like it's an extra incentive in the community, in the culture, to really kind of push you even further. Yep. So another question I have, because we have, you know, a lot of people from varying backgrounds and just time in Lynn hip hop. I have to ask. I'm curious because, you know, thankfully, shout out to the Lynn Cultural Council for supporting this project and allowing this project to go forward and happen. I'm curious though, in terms of the support in general from the community, from City Hall, when it comes to hip hop, from your perspective, how has that looked like, and where can more be done in that aspect? If you have anything to say there as well.
Set up
I think that's a loaded question. But if this is hip hop in this park right now, I'm just gonna keep it all the way real. No, hip hop is not respected. Hip hop artists do not receive their flowers in this city. I will shout out the Lynn Cultural Council for being one of the agencies in the city to make that effort and support not just something like this, but they have supported other events in the past. But when you mention City Hall, that's an emphatic no. What we can do to support is this. This cipher right here, this is our City Hall for what we're trying to do. So when people think that things aren't working out in the community and they go to City Hall and be like, this isn't working, this shit's just not working. So if we're creating something and people go, hey, I think you should do this, or this isn't working, it's our job to listen. So hopefully this can be a microcosm of a model of how we build within hip hop and how we make things happen. A lot can be improved, but it starts with us unifying and showing for that example. And then we can move to City Hall to accomplish a lot more as a unit. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree too. I think as a whole, entertainment in Lynn, rappers, producers, engineers, dancers, everything needs to be more amplified. I feel like there's a multi-million-dollar industry within this city, and if we aren't showcasing that, how could it ever become that? And we need the help of the city and as well as the community and all the great artists to come together and, you know, put that into place. So that's why we're here doing these type of events.
I don't have anything to say on this question. I just think Justice and Jay hit it right on the head with that.
One thing that kind of, to jump off, piggyback off of what Justice said, is that I think the big difference is that there is unity here, and we are here to listen. So when there's input and when there are people who might disagree with how something is done, or might have questions about, well, why is this happening this way, we're gonna listen, right? And we're gonna make them feel like they're involved and they're heard, which is the spirit of hip hop in general, as far as just how diverse an art form it is in general, and an inclusive art form, and I think we have the same spirit here. So.
Quick question: do you guys watch that Versus the other day with the Lux and Dipset? Yeah. Crazy, right? My personal opinion on it is that it's one of the most iconic hip hop moments ever, and there was a lot of excitement in watching that from beginning to end. It excited me on a level that, I mean, it was like, for me, I was like, it's better than watching the Super Bowl. It was better, more fun than watching the Super Bowl or any sort of like championship event. It felt different and excited a lot of people. And my next question is, how do we get that level of excitement in our community? Like, what do we do? How can we create that level of excitement like they did for the Versus series in our local communities to get people excited locally about the artists locally?
I feel like the city coming together. You know, everybody stop going to these out of city places, giving them your money, and you're putting on showcases for them when you could be doing it in your own city. You have the money to do it in your own city. You know what I mean? But, you know, some people are scared of their own support from their own city because they feel like they don't get it. But if you ain't out here fighting for the support, then how you gonna get support? You know what I mean? So that's just how I feel. I just feel like everybody needs to come together and just be one with this whole hip hop thing. Everybody's saying they rappers, everybody's singers, everybody's producers. Why ain't we all together doing the same thing together, making money? You know what I mean? Putting the city on the map. So, you know, that's how I feel.
Yeah, and I think honesty is key. I'm in the social work over at Lynn Classical for a number of years now, and I've had countless kids come through my office and want to talk art. They want to talk, well, what do I do? Where is my community? Where do I go here? Where do I go next? I'm about to graduate. And especially with, kids who have a desire to be plugged into somewhere musically, the fact that there's something that has been being built, but you guys are making it more official and organized as, okay, here's a jump on. Here's a place to send you where you can come and join and be a part of something. Here's your community, let's go. I think that's a big step because that's how you build confidence, and that's how you if that any one kid suddenly has an event and he's got 20 people deep that he knows are coming to support, that's a big deal. That builds that confidence, so you know that you can keep going. So it's great.
I think it's a layered question. On the surface, when I look at platforms like that, that's super dope for the culture. It's something that resonates. Like, you can pick either side, but the whole totality of it is going to be something that makes you feel good. Like you said, it hits you different. There's one thing that I look at is like, well, there's a lot of money that went into that, right? That's a big arena. But then what she said is we have, on our level, on the grassroots level, we have to look at what we can do in our city. So we have to ask the question, what venues do we have in the city that support hip hop? And that's kind of to piggyback off the question you asked before about how is hip hop, respected, or how is it received in the community? If we don't have cultural facilities like this one that's opening its doors, opening its gates and its arms to hip hop, then hip hop doesn't really exist. We have to go outside of the city. To answer you answered the call about Al Davino posting, why isn't there a mural of ST? Why is it that the city of Lynn doesn't champion an artist like that that's been on tour in Europe multiple times? Because Europe is opening their doors, the promoters there, it's the venues, not just the promoters. You're a promoter, everyone who loves hip hop and tells somebody about a song, you're a promoter. You don't have to do it for a job, but that's part of getting opportunities open. Enough people start talking about an artist, the doors open for them. So I do think that it has to start with not just nightclubs, but I say cultural facilities, because you could turn a nightclub into a cultural facility, call it what we want, it's semantics, right? But we need to have space to get it in and do what we do. Dancers need a place to spin. The floor gotta be proper. MCs need a place with mics, sound system, electricity. Just look where hip hop came from, burning buildings all around. So hip hop can do it, we need our own venue.
I think, what the city needs to get everything to the level that Edwin was talking about is the very thing we're here for today, and it's the wall. That's going to create that competitiveness. That's going to create that unity. That's going to create that community. That's going to create the arts to get involved. Michael's going to do the mural. It's going to be something people could look at every day. That's really the starting point of this whole thing, because the future mayor, the future councilors are all going to drive by this mural, look at it, and also think, hey, the whole community is impacted by this. How can I be a part of that, or how can I make that better? How can I help them achieve what they want to achieve? And those are the people we should also be putting in power also. But yeah, I do believe it starts with the wall. I do believe that we're responsible, all of us, the community, and putting this together, and also getting these nightclubs and all these things going. So it starts with the wall. We get the wall going, and from there, let's move forward.
Yeah, again, everything everybody's been saying. I think it starts with us right here. You need a promoter, we got it. You need an artist, we got that. You need anything you need to get your project jumping, we got that right here. And it's all love. It's all open arms. What P. Diddy call himself now? Love. That's what it is. It's not, you come here, it's not like if you ask a question, we're not gonna turn our back to you or like call you a weirdo, even if it's a dumb question. Like it's all like we're here and it's open arms. So you should be here. If this is what you want to do, we're starting the community right now. Lynn Museum opened up their gates, so and this is a beautiful space, nice sunlight. We're not near any houses, so we can rock out. We got the park right here. As soon as that opens up, they got a stage. So once we get this popping, anything's possible. So
hell yeah, and just to add to that, because I definitely think a venue, a recreational facility, something that to be able to enjoy the art the way it's supposed to be enjoyed is important. I also think, and shout out to LCTV by the way, and shout out to just people who are documenting the culture. I feel like we need more people to document the culture. Photographers. We need photographers, media people. We need to inspire people to want to get into media, because it's not just about covering large touring artists coming through Boston, but let's cover the artists right here on the ground. We got amazing artists that don't get enough coverage but should get a lot more coverage than they do, and there's not enough people covering them. I can name very few on my hands, Grindhouse being one, shout out, like I said, LCTV, but there's very few. We gotta lift up and support our photographers, our media people, because they're recording and preserving the culture on that aspect. So 10 years from now, when some Lynn artists or KMF or whoever, they're big, we can go back and look at that footage. So I feel like that's another thing that we need to, I've been working on that also, like inspiring kids to get into media, learn how to use a camera and just start documenting, because that's important as well.
Social networking too, don't forget that.
Social networking, that's another one. Good, exactly, yeah, sharing. People, it's funny on social media, because I see a lot of people doing all sorts of activities, but they don't love sharing at all. That's the last thing they like doing. But that's definitely important. Shout outs to you. I wanted to ask a question, just kind of like tapping into people's backgrounds and memories in terms of Lynn hip hop. Man, I gotta ask, everybody's background is different. Can you talk about how you got started in hip hop and where does Lynn tie into that?
I would say, honestly, I fell in love with hip hop at the age of 8. You know what I mean? Because it was around me. My family would throw big cookouts, and all you would hear is music. And my family, they getting dressed to impress. So that's where the fashion comes into, And then growing up, being in Lynn, Simi Anderson would throw the basketball games as they're going on right now, the Lynn tournaments. If it was raining outside, he'd put it in the gym, and he got the music going, he got the DJs, he's brought artists out here, you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like I grew up around it, with my family and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like Simi played a big part in that. He mixed basketball with music, he mixed any type of sports with music, charities with music, you know what I mean? Whatever he did, it was music involved, so it was always there.
Having grown up in the suburbs and then come to Lynn in my late teens, Lynn and hip hop were always hand in hand. There was never a separation of them. We started a youth group over on Washington Street, church outreach over there, playing basketball and just building a community over there. And it was Terrell from Tragic Allies was there every week. He was one of my kids, and we just started doing ciphers in the parking lot. And then more and more as the kids' stories started, I always kind of was under the impression I didn't really have my own story, right? And I began to realize that yes, I do, and it's also, I have an opportunity here to use hip hop to help you tell yours as well. And it all just melded together. So I have Lynn to thank for all of it, for every place I've ever had the opportunity to travel and release projects, etc. It really does all come back to Lynn and the kids who were generous enough to allow me to help them share their stories.
Word. I think for me, getting influenced by and introduced to hip hop through music, the radio, like a lot of people. But really getting immersed in the culture, being taken under the wing of one of my OGs. Shout out to Keebler, aka DJ Donnie Battle. My immersion in hip hop really came when I lived in Rhode Island. I lived out there for about 8 years. And when I was probably 14 or 15 or so, I went to a rec center and I seen B-boys breaking. And I was just like, this is like the shit that I seen on videos. Like, but it's right here in front of me. So I'd build with them and learn to break. And then I go to other practice spots, so on and so forth. I started learning about events. And Keebler took me under his wing. He's like, come practice with us. He had a crew going on at the time, Ground Effects crew. That was one of the first official crews that I was a part of. So I definitely want to shout out my Ground Effects family. So for a while, we went on the road. We was touring. We were going to battles. We were doing shows, opening up for hip-hop artists. And that's when I started going to more events with rappers and not seeing B-boys. So I would be one of the B-boys, or I would invite some of my crew to come out there. So those are kind of the formative years for me, really getting cultured into hip-hop, learning about the history, and getting mentorship, myself, like Bobby was given to some of the youth out here. So when I came back to Lynn, I moved back here when I was 18, and I started teaching Lynn youth how to break over at former Club America right here on Monroe Street, Breed Junior High, Lynn Classical, where else? Just wherever, they had space, and I'd see these young kids doing what I was trying to do. Be like, hey, let me show you guys this. And I would introduce them to events. So for me, it was really about being included, being involved in something, and feeling like I belong in this crew, and then realizing it's not just about the crew, it's about the culture. And when you participate, you do the knowledge properly, you belong within that space. So coming back here to Lynn and seeing now what that younger generation is doing with the dance, it's like, it's unbelievable, So for me, it was the formative years out there, but really adding on from what I know to the culture, happened right here at Club America in 2003. We had a workshop where we were practicing with the youth, and then it would culminate in a showcase. So people could see the moves that they learned, and we'd have local rappers like said Terrell, one of the original Tragic Allies members, ST Knack, Relentless, Big Brother Sadi. So we had a community around that. So for me, I'd say those were the formative years, being a teenager, and hip hop is old now. We're all getting old, so it's about what the youth want to do with it and how they see it. But the culture's got a lot of history and a lot of knowledge.
I was about 13, 14 when I started making beats with KMFE. And during that time, I just remember Cash Money Records was going on like one of the craziest runs. Like, Wayne was in jail or something, Drake was going crazy, Nicki, all these people. And I just remember seeing that and then looking at the city and thinking, damn, there's so much potential here. So I started like getting good at seeing the potential in everything here. From arts, fashion designers to the music. Really the music though. So every artist I ever looked at, I'm like, all right, he could possibly be the next big star. Why not that person? And I still look at it very much that way. Every time I look at, the artists that are here and the artists that aren't here, I look at them all the same way. The potential is through the roof. Definitely a lot of upside, and I think we all need to be a part of that.
So Don Mistress, his grandmother, and my grandmother are actually sisters. So, we're cousins. So everything she said about the family throwing the basketball tournaments and stuff, like that's real. And closer to home for me and my mom, growing up, she was excited to buy albums like Get Rich or Die Trying, all Rick Ross earlier albums from the 80s, Heavy D and the Boys, all that. And then, of course, like being black and seeing the way America is treated its brown citizens, hip hop is just it just resonates with you. In high school, I went to school with C. Wells. He was a grade above me. He's always been like making music, and he been had his merch, Live Famous. So seeing that and me wanting to be an artist myself, even though I'm a painter, and I wanted to make cartoons growing up, it was just cool to see someone my age be so invested in their craft. It was inspiring. So that's all I gotta say.
Word. All right. So I don't know if you guys seen this meme. It's like, and they usually impart whatever story they want to tell. But there's a meme where it's like they got an old, like let's say 80-year-old, parents sitting by the couch fireplace, right? And they got like the young, like 5, 6-year-old kids, and it's like, Mama or Papa, what was so and so like? And so imagine yourselves being that 80-year-old. This is like, you're wise, old, you've seen it all, and you got your little 5, 6-year-old, grandkids, and they're asking you, Mom, Pop, Grandma, Grandpa, whatever. What was Lynn hip hop like? How would you explain it? What would you tell them? Start with you, Don.
Well, as far as that, I do have I have a daughter. She's 8, so she's seeing me be a rapper, be a businesswoman, be a fashionista, the whole nine. You know what I mean? And I'm living righteously just so she can move the same way, or think a little bit different, but see the way I moved out of being from where I come from. And I don't know. I honestly would tell her, like, you're gonna catch that vibe in the city. And that's it. You're gonna catch that vibe from the city. There's gonna be J Nesses and Sonorels and ST Nax and it's gonna be that. So you're gonna just go to the city, go back to the trenches. I'm always gonna tell people, always go back to your culture, go back to your roots. It's there. It's always gonna be there. That's it.
Yeah, I think what kind of stands out to me, that want to be able to say that there are open arms. That no matter where you go, like I said before, there's a place where people come together and they celebrate one another, no matter what avenue people have gone down, no matter what style they're embracing. But there's still a group that will, no matter what, support you, help propel you, and help pick you up if when you fall down. So.
I'm trying to think now, story time. You were like, Mama, Papa. I'm picturing the setting. There's like, there's a fireplace going. You can hear the crackling. You got hot cocoa.
Beard's white.
My beard's mad white. Yeah, I got like 8 more white hairs in my beard. Shout out for that one. I would say that Lynn was an incredible story of talented artists that were unrecognized, underappreciated, like the little city that could, and then it took the formation of the village leaders to say, look, this is how we're going to raise this village. So I think it's like the city that could, until it had something to unite on, something to unite for together. That's the Lynn story. I would share that one. And then everybody knew about Lynn. That's it.
Damn, bro, I can't come up with any better, man. That was lit.
What was the question again?
If you're like, 50 years from now, and you're old, and your kids ask you about, or your grandkids ask you about what was Lynn hip hop like, how would you explain it to them?
I'd probably be high, telling this, but I'd just be like, it was dope. The camaraderie that we seen, it's unparalleled to anything you could see anywhere else. I think Lynn is cool because it's a big city, but it's a small city at the same time. And I just probably encourage that same type of camaraderie. Go hang out with your friends and create something dope.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
That's the sound bite of it.
Facts.
He keeps dropping shit.
I know. One, so he gets the prep up, man.
Hell yeah.
He's like, what's in this?
All right, y'all. So I got one more question for the board, and then I want to open up for Q&As if y'all have any questions, or if y'all want to get on mic and have something that you want to share. We'll leave it open for you guys. But I want to leave one last question. As I said earlier, we all have different backgrounds and perspectives and experiences when it comes to Lynn hip hop. And everybody, I'm looking around the room, and everybody on some level is associated with Lynn hip hop. And I just want you guys to give me one memorable hip hop moment that you've experienced. That way we can all kind of hear the story and learn the moment.
Just like hip hop.
Just one moment that you had, that you were, whether you were at a show or with people, and then you just felt like, man, this is like what Lynn hip hop is. You know what I'm saying?
I would say when Stack Dough came out. When Stack Dough came out, they had the streets lit. lit, and I wasn't even rapping around the time, like, and I, you know, but I knew how to rap since I was like 14, 15, like, but only a couple people knew, but not everybody. But once that dough came out and I seen how they had the hood jumping, I'm like, yo, yeah, you know, it's time for me to get the hood jumping too. But I feel like just knowing they're gonna have a show or they got a mixtape coming out, or like, yo, just the hype of it, like it was just there. I feel like that was my hip hop story, just feeling that intense hype, like, yo, they about to drop something, yo, it's gonna be lit, yo, their video's gonna be lit, you know what I mean? So that's how I feel.
I mean, it's to your point as far as when you're motivated. When you see somebody else doing something and inspires you, I can do that too. Well, I'm no different. I can do that too, right? Mine's a little bit different. I helped found East Coast International Church, which is what used to be Club America, right? So we're in that building. For years and years, we did a hip hop Sunday. Once a year, we did a rap event, and I was always the one performing at it. And it's kind of been on hiatus. It's coming back again this year, but there's this one, he's not a kid anymore, but one friend of mine who, when he was a teenager, he was kind of in and out. Unfortunately, was caught up in the legal system. He was in the foster system for a while and sort of fell through the cracks. And that event is what drew him back through the doors. His life was not in a good place, and now his life is in an amazing place. Fully employed, saving money, on the right track as far as the issues that he had before, he has surmounted them. And he credits that event to the beginning of him turning things around. And so it was because of hip hop that that was the tool that was being used in order to get him in there and pivot. So and now he's helping me run the event this year. So it's a pretty amazing closing that loop in a full circle story. So yeah, that's what stands out to me.
Those are beautiful memories.
It's amazing, right?
The anticipation of looking forward to when something's gonna drop. It's like, and then they tell you, oh, it's gonna be next week or next month. You're like, but you reset the alarm, checking up a week later, like, it's coming yet? One of the memories, I'll say it was definitely like a closing the loop or full circle type of moment for me was, I think in 2016, driving around Mount Vernon Street, seeing the space under the train tracks over here and being like, God damn, that shit is so hip hop. Just that space, like what could go on here? Art on the walls, maybe like a studio space inside there, creative space. And then 2 years later, I ended up seeing an ad online for the Ironbound Marketplace, and they were looking for somebody to organize events and food truck stuff and all that. So I was like, that's interesting. The space isn't for lease yet, but I may have an opportunity to still do events there. What was a cool moment for me is knowing that as Rec Shop was founded in Lynn, a few streets away, I was able to organize events on Mount Vernon Street for the Ironbound block parties and bring the whole Rec Shop movement in there. From Mr. PSA hosting the block parties, getting everybody screaming movement. Let's try that again. Rec Shop? Movement. All right, y'all still awake. And then to having our DJ rocking out for the neighbors that live on Mount Vernon Street, and they're coming out in their flip-flops, drinking beer, like, is this real life? And it just made me think, like, this is hip-hop. You know what I mean? It's about bringing the community together, from bringing different vendors in that we worked with, and seeing that happen right here in Lynn, a whole bunch of hip-hop artists from Lynn coming to hang out and networking with city councilors. It just showed me the power of hip-hop. It's not just entertainment, it's not just industry. When you're able to bring it right back to where hip-hop started, park jams and block parties, like that was definitely a moment for me. That was like, we did that.
Word. What's dope too is like somebody from those block parties or something, like I'm gonna say SD Nat because this is my favorite moment of Lynn hip hop, but SD Nat coming from the ground up, and then being recognized by Complex.com for his verse on Banana Yacht, which was considered one of the best verses of the year at that time in the world. That guy's from Lynn. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's the biggest moment. But it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? From the ground up to the industry all the way.
Yeah, that's super fire. I would just say, this must have been like right before quarantine. The Grindhouse threw an event at, what was that place?
The Knights of Pythias.
Yeah, so they threw an event there, and I was just introduced to like Wes Taylor and like a few other artists, and I was just like, it was just super dope. Wells threw a performance at the end, and I just thought that was a super dope event for Lynn Hip Hop. That was my first time really seeing people like out and coming together, and it was like a cipher. Like people were performing, and in the in between before performances, we was like freestyling. I even got in there and threw some bars, and I'm not even like, yeah, I don't even be rapping like that, but it was just the vibe. So like, I just thought that was super fun. So it was a good time.
I want to answer that question also, and I'll say it definitely. So that is one of my favorite moments. But even leading up to that event, what inspired even an event like that to be put on is shout out to Justice Born with Rec Shop. Like my first Rec Shop event. Like when you go to a hip hop show, you never really know what to expect. A rec shop show is different because you got this community that you guys built up, and whenever somebody yells rec shop, movement, and people respond with movement, that is like
They think it's like Tourette's or something.
if you don't know, if it's your first time going at a rec shop show, you're like, oh, this is like a cult. Like, what is this? I don't know what's happening, but you guys do an amazing job of building a community immediately to make everybody feel welcome, and so. Going to my first rec shop show and then going to more after that and understanding that like you can build a dope hip hop community in your city, in your community, and get people to kind of come together as one. And that was like the first example of that. And then also shout out to Premier Rap Battle League, because then when I went to like my first battle rap show, I was like, yo, these dudes are like, they're serious, they're nice. You know what I'm saying? Like with the battle rap shows, I feel like you have to be there to really feel that energy and to see it. You know what I'm saying? And so gotta shout out the Rec Shop and Premier Rap Battle League for even putting those events forward for me to even experience that. And so when we threw the Grindhouse show last year, because my favorite moment from that show is we hired a producer, because I love his beats, Loman. Shout out to Loman. And he came through and he was just playing beats. And originally it was just a little downtime because we had a bunch of performers, and I wanted like a little downtime between performances for people to just chill and vibe. But the beats were nasty. And people were like, yo, can I grab the mic? It's like, the mic is right there, grab the mic. And it's all on video too. If you go on the Grindhouse YouTube page, you'll see the video, but like literally somebody asked me grab the mic, and you hear my voice saying, grab the mic, is right there. And somebody grabbed the mic, and it went crazy. Like it became a whole cipher impromptu because the beats were crazy. And at that moment I was like, this is why hip hop is beautiful. Because that's what it inspires, that's what it ignites. So that's definitely my favorite moment, but that moment wouldn't have been created hadn't been for you and Premier Rap Battle League and for people who really put on shows like that for people to experience, because it could be even this show where somebody comes through and like, yo, I could do something like this. Word, we need more like shit like this, So before we get into Q&As, I wanted to remind people, so if you look over at these picnic tables and at these this table over here and this table over here, we have a couple QR codes. There's a lot of people, especially in this park right now, that is absolutely involved in Lynn Hip Hop. If you want to have a voice in what we're working on, what we're doing, scan your phone over where the QR codes are. There's a QR code that brings up a link to be a curator. All you really need to do to be a curator is when we send out voting, I call them packages, when we call your name to give us information on who you think are top artists, just answer the call, respond to that email. But that's all it really is. And so scan your phone, there's QR codes over here, there's a couple more in this table over here and a couple more over here. Because we definitely want to hear from you guys, because everybody's top 5 is going to be different. Everybody's top 10 is going to be different. We want to hear the consensus, we want to hear from everybody, but first, starting with the people in the know. Like, it's going to be open to the public, but I want to first identify people who are in the know, who's going to tell us, yo, you really need to look at these artists, because that's going to help preserve the culture. When everybody gives their top 10 and there's varying different names and everybody can be like, well, who's this person? That's going to allow us to be able to fill those gaps and remember and spread the word and tell the stories, et cetera, because these names are being brought up. So the more people get involved, the better. So go ahead and scan the QR codes over there. There's also another QR code. There's also another QR code. And we're playing music all day during downtime. We're having performances all day, but during downtime, we're going to be playing Lynn hip hop music. If you want to add to that playlist, there's a playlist link for Spotify. Scan the QR code, add your favorite Lynn hip hop songs to that, and hopefully it'll come up as we play it throughout the day. But yeah, without further ado, I'm curious. I saw somebody earlier that wanted to jump on the mic. Yeah, where's if you have any questions, you have something to say? Grab the mic.
Hello, my name is Troy. I understand what these people are saying, but look at most of you people here. Most of you guys are young. Most of you guys are for the culture. Look at these pictures. It's for the community a little, but this is about the youth, man. This is about hip hop, man. It's about graffiti artists. This is about breakdancing. Lynn needs to open their eyes and see that they have a lot of talent in this city that you guys probably don't even know about. How long do you think it took this man to make these boots? How long do you think it took to make that young man on that wall with the sneakers? This isn't just about Lynn. This is about hip hop. Look at the stamps nowadays. You got rappers on stamps. It's not only about the culture, man. This is about the streets. This is about where you live. Get your minds together. Open up your eyes. Listen to your kids talking. Your kid might have something that be a couple of million and you don't got to pay for school. So this ain't only about the community. Open your eyes, man. This is hip hop, the culture. Rec Shop movement.
Anybody else want to chime in? Anybody else have any questions or have anything they want to say? We're taking questions here. There's been a lot of talk on the internet streets, so hopefully we can bring some of that talk in person.
It's loud on the web.
Jay Ness is in the building.
Yeah.
Mad
Shout out
loud.
to Jay
You got no
Ness.
questions?
360 in the place. What up, Chief? You know, it's like a hip hop show when you got like the whole squad on one side of the club. I want to just like drag and drop a few over here, spread it out.
What's going on? My name is 360. I'm from Lynn. I identify as Lynn Hip Hop, so it's an honor to be here and be able to give my 2 cents. We're talking about the mural here. Like I said, Lynn lacks a lot of things. Lynn lacks a lot of things when it comes to culture and hip hop for a lot of years, because I've been doing this since probably the late 80s, early 90s out here with a lot of the big names. But as much as it lacks, Lynn overcompensates for what we do have as far as hip hop. So, like I said, if everybody could put their egos aside and come together as far as hip hop goes, we could be 10 times stronger than what we are. So I feel like as far as the mural goes, there could be thousands of people up there as far as it goes for hip hop, but deservingly, there's some staples that need to be up there, and I feel that need to set the tone for whatever this mural is going to be. So I don't know who's the head honcho. I was talking to my man over there. I just hope that, like I said, the deserving people end up on that wall and they get their flowers, whether they're here, whether they're not here, just to show our gratitude to hip hop. Like I said, hip hop is a lot of things out here. There's a lot of people that contributed to it, a lot of people that still live here, a lot of people that moved away but still give back to here. And again, I just think if all those people come together for this mural, for the city, for hip hop, for the whole Lynn, I think we'll be a little more on the map than we already are. You can go places all over the world and you say Lynn, people are going to know, whether they say, you know, the little Limerick, Lynn City, say whatever. People know somebody from here, they've been here for whatever reason, so do what we got to do and put us even more on the map.
I wanted to add to that actually, because like you know, that idea of like this person needs to be on the wall has been a big talk amongst everybody, and I love that because, you know, what the beautiful thing about that is like, let's say for example, if that person that this, you know, that this person believes should be on the wall hasn't even got on the wall yet, that conversation has already been started because they're saying this person should be on the wall. And then somebody else at some point is going to be like, well, why should they be on the wall? And now the conversation is being had about somebody who doesn't know about the person that you know that should be on the wall, and now you're passing that knowledge on. So I feel like it's just beautiful enough for that to be raised, like this person should be on the wall, because people are going to want to know. And the more people are going to want to know, the more people know at some point, right? And so I feel like this is why we're doing this, preserving the culture and making those names that you feel like should be recognizable. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, thank you for coming up and speaking your mind. Anybody else want to come up, have any questions, or want to speak your mind?
What's going on, y'all? So Just for the people on camera, my name is Sway. I'm from the Manuals. Represent Mini Mansion, 23 incredible allies. Not only that, Lynn, Massachusetts. But one of the things actually that brought my attention when I was sitting back there was you guys were talking about having a place where we can curate hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Venue. The word venue came up. And the city doesn't give us a public place for us to do this. It's very rare. We're actually very thankful for Lynn Museum to do this and other Man, you have no idea what justice has put hip hop through in Lynn, Massachusetts, bro. Like, honestly, I remember PSA helping me with my homework in Club America. Like, that's how back we go for hip hop and how much he's been trying to do this, honestly. And I want to bring this and I want to bring it out to everybody, bro. Anyone that can hear it out. Yo, we need a bro. Like, we really do. Like, we need to showcase this shit. To sell our art. We can't be outside in the winter, B. You know what I'm saying? We really need a venue. We gotta make bread. You know what I'm saying? We gotta put our money together and really get this building, B. Like, we really need this shit. Hip hop, right? We need this shit. Say nah. Alright then. That's all I gotta say.
Anybody else want to speak their mind or have any questions? Going once, going twice. All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for joining us today. And we're gonna be chilling. We're raising money for this project, the Lynn Hip Hop Wall of Fame. So those shirts that you see over that table right there, those stickers, all proceeds will be going to this project to help us continue on what we're doing and hopefully continue on year after year after that. So help support us, buy a shirt, buy some stickers, and come talk to us. Thank you guys.
Edwin for spearheading this and getting the Lynn Hip Hop Wall of Fame mural started. Make some noise for Edwin, y'all. Documenting the culture and then saying, you know what, let's take it a little bit further. But I'm gonna need some more people to help me push this up the hill. So we're gonna need more of y'all to get on board, like you said, for curators. So I didn't see people move and scan the codes. Nobody moves, so we're gonna bring the codes to you. Peace.